The Galactic Classification Council prided itself on accuracy. For 12,000 cycles, they had never miscategorized a single species. Their protocols were precise, their observations meticulous, and their conclusions always correct. Until they encountered humans. Supreme Observer Zextal reviewed the preliminary report on his neural display for the 6th time, his crystalline appendages clicking in agitation. The numbers couldn't be right. The species designated human had progressed from discovering atomic fission to achieving rudimentary spaceflight in less than a century. Such rapid advancement violated every known developmental model. "Play surveillance footage," he commanded. The holographic display materialized, showing the blue-green world the humans called Earth. The planet itself was unremarkable, a standard Class M world with typical nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. What wasn't typical was how quickly the humans were changing it. "Analysis complete," the ship's AI announced. "Human technological progression rate exceeds standard models by factor of 8.3, caution advised." Zextal dismissed the warning with a gesture. After all, the humans were still centuries away from achieving faster-than-light travel. Their most advanced vessels couldn't even reach their system's outer planets. By all standard metrics, they were a Class II civilization. Interesting to observe, but hardly a concern. "Begin standard containment protocols," he ordered. The preservation fleet would establish a quarantine zone around the solar system, ensuring the humans developed in isolation until they were ready for contact. It was standard procedure performed countless times before. The first sign that something was wrong came 3 days later. Supreme Observer, his second-in-command, Valerie, burst into the observation chamber. "We've lost contact with Containment Vessel 7. Zextal's primary heart skipped a beat. "Impossible. Show me." The display shifted to the last known position of CV-7. The ship had been positioning quantum barrier generators at the edge of the solar system when it simply vanished. "No debris field," Valerie reported. "No distress signal. No quantum wake. It's as if it ceased to exist." Before Zextal could respond, another alert flashed. CV-3 and CV-12 had gone dark. 3 ships lost in less than a planetary rotation. The humans couldn't be responsible. Their sensors shouldn't even be able to detect ships in quantum space. "Full scan of the system," Zextal ordered, his voice steady despite the growing unease in his neural pathways. The results made his crystalline form vibrate with shock. The humans had turned their entire planet's communication network into an early warning system. Every radio telescope, every satellite, every civilian broadcasting station was part of an interconnected detection grid. They hadn't just spotted the containment fleet, they had been tracking them since arrival. "Incoming transmission," the AI announced. "Origin, Earth." The holographic display flickered, and Zextal found himself facing the human female. Her dark skin contrasted sharply with her white uniform, and her expression carried none of the awe or fear he expected from a primitive species encountering advanced beings. To the alien vessels attempting to establish a barrier around our solar system, she spoke, her words automatically translated by the ship's systems. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. We've been watching you watching us." Zextal's secondary heart began racing. Earth Defense Force. Their intelligence suggested humans had no unified military structure. "Your stealth technology is impressive," Admiral Chen continued, a slight smile playing at her lips. "But you should know, humans have spent centuries imagining how first contact might go wrong. We've written stories, made movies, developed contingencies. When our quantum fluctuation detectors picked up your ships 3 months ago, we were ready." "Impossible," Zextal whispered. "They shouldn't have quantum detection capability for at least 500 cycles." "Your missing ships are safe," Chen added. "Disabled, not destroyed. Consider them a demonstration. You have 1 planetary rotation to open diplomatic channels, or we'll be forced to show you why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our paranoia." The transmission ended, leaving Zextal staring at his own reflection in the darkened display. For the first time, in 12,000 cycles, the Galactic Classification Council had made a mistake. They had classified humans based on their technology level, failing to account for their most dangerous trait, their ability to imagine threats and prepare for them. "Send word to the Council," Zextal ordered, his voice heavy with realization. "We need to create a new classification. The humans aren't just another primitive species developing in predictable patterns. There's something we've never encountered before." As if to emphasize his point, the ship's sensors detected a massive energy surge from Earth. The humans had somehow modified their planet's magnetic field, creating a weapon that could disable quantum drives across the entire system. They had turned their world's natural defenses into a trap, using technology that, by all rights, they shouldn't even understand. The containment fleet was no longer containing anything. They were the ones contained, caught in humanity's web of improvised defenses and impossible innovations. And somewhere on that blue-green world below, Admiral Chen was waiting for their response, ready to demonstrate just how dangerous a species could become when it spent its entire existence preparing for the worst. The Galactic Council's emergency session chamber had never been so quiet. Supreme Observer Zextal's report hung in the air like a toxic cloud, making the assembled representatives shift uncomfortably in their gravity-adjusted seats. "You mean to tell us," High Counselor Venra spoke, her bioluminescent form pulsing with disbelief, "that these humans not only detected our containment fleet, but managed to disable 3 of our most advanced vessels using technology that shouldn't even exist yet?" "That's not the worst part," Zextal replied, his crystalline form dimming with anxiety. "They're learning. Every time we adapt, they adapt faster. Watch this." The holographic display activated, showing footage from 12 hours after the initial confrontation. A small fleet of human vessels, crude chemical rockets by galactic standards, approached the disabled containment ships. The humans had modified their primitive spacesuits with makeshift sensor arrays cobbled together from what appeared to be commercial satellite components. "Those are their asteroid mining vessels," commented Science Director Yith. "Hardly a threat, though." The words died in Yith's throat as the footage continued. The human ships didn't attempt to breach the containment vessels. Instead, they surrounded them with a cloud of what appeared to be simple metal spheres. "Bearing witness," Zextal narrated, "to humanity's most terrifying trait, their ability to weaponize anything. Those spheres contain water. Just water. But..." The footage showed the spheres suddenly rupturing, releasing their contents into space. The water instantly froze, creating a cloud of ice crystals around the disabled ships. Then, using precisely calculated microwave bursts from modified mining equipment, the humans began to control the temperature and direction of the ice cloud. "They turned space itself into a weapon," Zextal explained. "The ice crystals interfere with our quantum sensors, create false readings, and when melted by specific frequencies, conduct energy in ways that disrupt our shield harmonics. They developed this tactic in less than 6 hours. Surely our remaining fleet cold," Venra began. "We lost 2 more ships this morning," Zextal interrupted. "The humans have begun launching what they call defense satellites. But these aren't ordinary weapons platforms. Each one contains thousands of small autonomous drones programmed with what they call swarm intelligence. The drones themselves are primitive, but they're behavioral algorithms." New footage played, showing a massive containment vessel surrounded by a cloud of tiny human drones. The drones moved in patterns that seemed random at first, but slowly formed into complex, shifting formations that somehow anticipated and countered every defensive measure the alien ship attempted. "They based these attack patterns on insect behavior," Zextal continued. "Specifically, something called army ants. They're not trying to destroy our ships. They're overwhelming our sensor systems, finding weak points, and forcing us to shut down our own systems to prevent catastrophic overload." The council chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. A species that could turn mining tools and simple robots into effective weapons against advanced warships was unprecedented. "There's more," Zextal added, his voice dropping. "We intercepted their global communication networks, hoping to understand their strategy. What we found." He paused, his crystalline form vibrating with unease. "They have entire communities dedicated to imagining and solving theoretical problems. They call them gaming forums and science fiction enthusiasts. Millions of humans spend their leisure time proposing and solving scenarios exactly like our arrival." The footage shifted to show human entertainment broadcasts, stories they had created about alien invasions, first contact scenarios, and interstellar warfare. Thousands of them, spanning centuries. "They've been preparing for us without even knowing we exist," Zextal concluded. "Every possible strategy we might employ, every technology we might use, they've already imagined it, debated it, and developed countermeasures." "No," Kralvor replied, shifting the display. "This is happening across all fields. Watch." New footage showed human scientists combining their primitive nuclear fusion technology with captured quantum containment systems. Instead of replacing their outdated technology, they were creating hybrid systems that exceeded the capabilities of either approach alone. Dr. Maria Santos, fusion specialist, Kralvor identified the lead researcher. She theorized that quantum fields could be used to enhance fusion containment. The result? Power systems that are more efficient and more stable than anything in the galaxy. The display showed Santos' team activating their prototype. The energy readings were off the scale, yet the system remained perfectly stable, protected by layers of both quantum fields and magnetic containment. "But the most concerning development is this," Kralvor continued, bringing up new footage. "They're calling it the Nexus Project." The images showed a massive space station under construction at one of Earth's Lagrange points. It appeared to be built around a central core of quantum processors salvaged from captured ships, but the humans had integrated them with their own neural network systems. Dr. Ant Hassan, artificial intelligence researcher, Kralvor identified the project leader. He discovered that our quantum computing systems could be enhanced by human AI algorithms. The result is a hybrid system that can process information in ways we thought impossible. The footage showed Hassan's team running simulations through the Nexus. The hybrid computer could model quantum space with unprecedented accuracy, predicting distortions and wake patterns that even galactic science had missed. "They're not just learning our technology," Kralvor explained, his voice heavy with implication. "They're teaching it new tricks. Their AI systems approach problems differently than our quantum computers. By combining both, they've created something entirely new." A live transmission interrupted the briefing. Dr. Hassan's face appeared on the main display, his expression calm but determined. "To the Galactic Council," he began, "we understand your confusion. You expected us to either reject your technology or abandon ours in favor of it. Instead, we're doing what humans have always done, taking the best of both worlds and making something better." Behind him, the Nexus's hybrid systems pulsed with energy as they processed quantum calculations in ways that defied conventional understanding. "Your technology is impressive," Hassan continued, "but it's limited by your assumptions about how it should work. Humans don't share those limitations. We see possibilities where you see impossibilities, and we're just getting started." The transmission ended, but the implications hung heavy in the council chamber. The humans weren't just catching up to galactic technology. They were pushing it in directions no one had ever considered. "There's more," Kralvor added quietly. "They're sharing everything they learn. Every breakthrough, every innovation is immediately distributed to all their research centers worldwide. They're advancing as a species, not as individual nations or facilities." New alerts flashed across the displays. The Nexus had just solved a quantum navigation problem that had stumped galactic scientists for centuries. The humans had done it by approaching the question from an entirely different angle, using their hybrid systems to find patterns that pure quantum computing had missed. "We're witnessing something unprecedented," Kralvor concluded. A species that doesn't just adapt to new technology. They adapt it to themselves. They're not trying to catch up to us anymore. They're blazing their own path, and it's taking them places we never imagined possible. The council chamber fell into deep discussion. The humans had done more than survive first contact. They had turned it into an opportunity for unprecedented growth. Their ability to combine seemingly incompatible technologies, to find new applications for established principles, and to share and build upon each discovery collectively, made them unlike any species the galaxy had ever encountered. The question is no longer whether they deserve a place in galactic society, Kralvor said finally. The question is whether galactic society is ready for them, because they're not going to wait for an answer. As if to emphasize his point, the displays showed dozens of new human vessels emerging from their shipyards, each one a unique blend of primitive and advanced technology, each one representing possibilities that had never occurred to the galaxy's finest minds. Humanity wasn't just joining the galactic community. They were about to revolutionize it. The Grand Archive of the Galactic Council, a vast repository of knowledge spanning millions of years, had never been modified in its entire history. Until today, peace had been fitted with simple electromagnetic devices that, when activated in concert, could disrupt quantum fields across vast distances. They're using our own arrogance against us, Yith continued. We assumed their space debris was just garbage, their weather satellites just primitive monitoring devices. But the humans have turned their entire solar system into one giant trap. New alerts flashed across the display. Commander Martinez's Nautilus had just led 3 more containment ships into a carefully prepared ambush. The humans had learned to predict where quantum ships would emerge based on gravitational distortions, positioning their converted mining vessels accordingly. We're not just losing ships, Yith said, his voice heavy with implication. We're losing tactical superiority. Every engagement teaches them more about our technology, our methods, our weaknesses. They're learning at an exponential rate. The chamber's attention shifted to a new transmission from Earth. This time, it was Commander Martinez speaking from the bridge of the Nautilus. To the Galactic Council, she began, her voice carrying the calm confidence of someone who knew they held the upper hand. We understand you're used to dealing with species that develop along predictable lines. That's not us. Humans don't just adapt. We thrive on challenges. Every obstacle you put in our path becomes a stepping stone. Behind her, displays showed human vessels moving in formation through both normal and quantum space, using techniques that seamlessly blended their primitive technology with their growing understanding of advanced physics. You thought you were containing a primitive species, Martinez continued. Instead, you gave us access to advanced technology and a reason to master it quickly. Thank you for that. Now, shall we discuss terms, or would you like to see what else we've learned from studying your captured ships? The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. The footage continued to play, showing human vessels systematically hunting down and disabling the remaining containment ships using techniques that grew more sophisticated with each engagement. We have 2 options, Yith concluded. We can acknowledge humanity as an equal and attempt to establish diplomatic relations, or we can continue to witness firsthand why challenging human ingenuity is a losing proposition. As if to emphasize his point, another alert sounded. The Nautilus had just led a successful raid on a containment ship's quantum core, using principles of deep-sea pressure dynamics to safely extract and contain the advanced power source. The humans weren't just defending anymore. They were actively acquiring and mastering galactic technology. They're not going to stop, Yith added quietly. Every victory makes them bolder. Every captured technology makes them stronger. We're not facing a primitive species struggling to catch up anymore. We're facing humanity at its most dangerous, challenged, united, and innovative. The council chamber erupted in urgent discussion. For the first time in galactic history, the most advanced civilization in known space was being forced to recognize that technological superiority meant nothing in the face of human adaptability and determination. The hunters had become the hunted, and humanity was just getting started. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had stretched into its fourth day when Intelligence Director Kralvor delivered the report that would change galactic civilization forever. "The humans aren't just copying our technology," he announced, his holographic form shimmering with agitation. "They're improving it." The chamber's displays showed footage from Earth's orbital shipyards, massive structures that hadn't existed 3 weeks ago. Human engineers had taken the quantum cores from captured containment ships and completely redesigned them, integrating them with their own primitive but remarkably efficient power systems. Dr. James Chen, quantum physics researcher, Kralvor identified the lead scientist. He discovered that our quantum drives could be exponentially more efficient if synchronized with Earth's magnetic field, something we never considered because no other known inhabited planet has such a strong magnetic core. The footage showed Chen's team testing their hybrid drive system. The human vessel's power output was 3 times that of standard galactic designs, achieved by embracing rather than fighting against their planet's natural properties. "They're calling it quantum surfing," Kralvor explained, "using planetary magnetic fields to amplify quantum effects. It's completely counter to all established principles of space travel, and it works better than anything we've developed in 10,000 years." High Counselor Venmer's bioluminescence pulsed with concern. Surely this is an isolated breakthrough. Not because they knew we were coming, but because they couldn't stop themselves from asking what if. A new alert flashed across the display. Admiral Chen was broadcasting again, this time to the entire containment fleet. "I see you've noticed our recent deployments," she began, that same unsettling smile on her face. "We call this asymmetric warfare, using an opponent's strengths against them. Your ships are magnificent examples of engineering, truly, but that makes them predictable. Humans, on the other hand," she gestured, and the camera pulled back to reveal what appeared to be a civilian space station. "We're about to show you why betting against human creativity is always a losing proposition." The station's outer hull suddenly split apart, revealing it wasn't a station at all, but a disguised weapons platform. Dozens of modified communication arrays activated simultaneously, creating a cascading wave of quantum interference that rippled through space. "Check," Admiral Chen said simply, and the transmission ended. In the council chamber, emergency alerts began blaring. The quantum interference wave had trapped half the remaining containment fleet in a localized space-time distortion. The humans had turned their communication technology that should have been harmless, into a weapon that could bend space itself. "We're not dealing with a primitive species developing along predictable lines," Zextal announced to the stunned council. "We're dealing with a civilization that treats the impossible as a challenge, and we just challenged them." The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. The galaxy's most advanced civilization had just been outmaneuvered by a species that hadn't even left their own solar system, not because of superior technology, but because humans had spent their entire existence preparing for every possibility, no matter how unlikely. The game wasn't over, but for the first time in galactic history, the Council was facing an opponent that didn't play by any known rules. And somewhere on Earth, Admiral Chen was already planning her next move. Science Director Yith's report to the Galactic Council contained 3 words no advanced civilization had ever written before: "We are retreating." The holographic displays throughout the chamber showed the devastating reality behind those words. The containment fleet, once the pride of galactic civilization, was scattered across the solar system, its remaining ships desperately trying to break free of humanity's ever-expanding web of improvised weapons and tactical innovations. "The humans have developed something they call Project Lighthouse," Yith explained, his energy form flickering with distress. "They've modified their planet's atmospheric scanning network, technology designed to track weather patterns, into a system that can detect quantum wake signatures across the entire solar system." The display showed Earth's atmosphere lighting up with complex patterns of energy, turning the planet itself into a vast detection grid. Every lightning strike, Every electromagnetic disturbance was now part of humanity's sensor network. But that's not the worst part, Yith continued. They're hunting us. New footage appeared, showing a human vessel unlike anything seen before. It was cobbled together from what appeared to be deep-sea exploration equipment, modified with salvage technology from the captured containment ships. The vessel moved through space in ways that defied conventional physics, using the principles of underwater pressure dynamics to navigate quantum space. Commander Diana Martinez, Yith identified the vessel's leader, former deep-sea research specialist. She theorized that quantum space could be navigated using principles similar to ocean currents. She was right. The footage showed Martinez's ship, dubbed the Nautilus, tracking the containment vessel through quantum space. The humans had taken their understanding of ocean dynamics and applied it to the very fabric of space-time. They're calling it depth charging, Yith explained, as the Nautilus launched what appeared to be modified submarine weapons. The weapons create quantum disturbances that force our ships back into normal space, right where their converted mining vessels are waiting. High Counselor Venris bioluminescence pulsed with alarm. How are they advancing so quickly? They shouldn't even understand quantum mechanics at this level. Because they're not trying to understand it completely, Yith replied. They're doing what humans call hacking, finding exploitable patterns and weaknesses without needing to comprehend the underlying principles. They don't know why it works. They just know that it does. The display shifted to show another human innovation. They had transformed their orbital debris, thousands of defunct satellites and pieces of space junk, into a vast network of passive sensors and weapons platforms. Each High Archivist Telleran stood before the assembled council, his ancient form trembling slightly as he prepared to do the unthinkable, create an entirely new classification category for sentient species. We can no longer deny the evidence, he began, his voice echoing through the chamber. Humanity has forced us to recognize that our understanding of species development was fundamentally flawed. The massive displays around the chamber showed a time-lapse of human advancement over the mere months since first contact. What had begun as a containment operation had evolved into the most significant paradigm shift in galactic history. In just 90 days, Telleran continued, humans have not only mastered quantum technology, but redefined its possibilities. They've turned their entire solar system into a defense network that rivals our most secure systems. But most importantly, they've shown us something we never thought possible: the ability to pursue multiple technological paths simultaneously. The display shifted to show Earth's latest achievement, the Harmony Network. Humans had taken the principles of quantum entanglement and combined them with their own internet technology, creating a solar system-wide communication system that operated on multiple planes of reality simultaneously. Dr. Sarah Williams, communications theorist, Telleran identified the project's leader. She discovered that by combining quantum entanglement with conventional radio waves, information could be transmitted in ways we thought violated the laws of physics. But she didn't stop there. The footage showed Williams's team demonstrating their hybrid communication system. It could transmit data through both normal space and quantum space simultaneously, creating redundancies and capabilities that pure quantum systems couldn't match. The humans have a saying, Telleran quoted, "Necessity is the mother of invention." When faced with our advanced technology, they didn't simply adopt it. They questioned every assumption we had about how it should work. A new transmission interrupted the session. Dr. Williams appeared on the main display, her expression both friendly and resolute. Distinguished members of the council, she began, we understand that our methods might seem chaotic to you. Where you see established principles, we see possibilities. Where you see limitations, we see challenges to overcome. But most importantly, where you see a primitive species to be contained, we see potential partners in exploration. Behind her, the Harmony Network pulsed with activity, carrying more data in multiple dimensions than any communication system in galactic history. We're proposing something unprecedented, Williams continued. Not just diplomatic relations, but a genuine exchange of ideas. You have knowledge accumulated over millions of years. We have the ability to look at that knowledge with fresh eyes and ask, what if? The council chamber erupted in discussion. The implications were staggering. A species that could take millions of years of established science and find new applications in months. What else might they discover? This brings us to our new classification, Teleron announced, bringing the chamber to order. We can no longer categorize species simply by their technological advancement. We must consider their capacity for innovation, their ability to synthesize different approaches, and most importantly, their potential for rapid adaptation. The display showed the new classification parameters being added to the Grand Archive. For the first time in its history, the archive would recognize that true advancement wasn't just about accumulating knowledge, it was about the ability to look at that knowledge in new ways. The humans have a term, Teleron continued, thinking outside the box. Their greatest strength isn't their technology or their determination, though both are remarkable. It's their ability to question everything, to imagine possibilities that never occurred to us, and to turn those imaginings into reality. The chamber's displays showed scenes from around Earth, scientists combining different technologies in ways that defied convention, engineers creating hybrid systems that shouldn't work but did, and researchers freely sharing their discoveries across national boundaries. We came to contain what we thought was a primitive species, Teleron concluded. Instead, we discovered something far more valuable. A reminder that the galaxy still holds surprises, that there is always another way to look at a problem, and that sometimes the greatest innovations come from those who don't know what's supposedly impossible. As if to punctuate his words, a final alert appeared. The humans had just successfully tested their first long-range quantum transportation system, not by copying galactic designs, but by creating an entirely new approach that combined multiple technologies in ways no one had ever considered. The galaxy is changing, Teleron announced to the Council. The question is no longer whether humanity is ready for galactic civilization, but whether galactic civilization is ready for humanity. Because they're not just joining our community, they're going to transform it. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They had begun this encounter believing they were dealing with a primitive species in need of containment. They were ending it with the realization that they had instead discovered something unprecedented. A species that didn't just adapt to the galaxy, but adapted the galaxy to themselves. In Earth orbit, the Harmony Network continued its revolutionary operations, a testament to humanity's unique approach to advancement. It stood as a symbol of what was possible when innovation was unfettered by preconceptions, when different paths to progress were explored simultaneously, and when the impossible was seen not as a barrier, but as a challenge to be overcome. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere on Earth, billions of humans were already asking, what's next?